Hey guys, here's the name of the manga. A girl named Rei Nanase enters the staff room and locks the door before walking up to a boy and wrapping her arms around him. From that moment on, the peaceful rhythm of the boy's daily life begins to change because of the unexpected closeness she shows him. Rei even asks him to kiss her, a sudden request that leaves him completely stunned and unsure how to react. At Serio High School, Rei later receives a love letter from another boy. She accepts it with a gentle smile that makes him believe she feels the same way. However, right after giving him that small moment of hope, she tears the letter apart without hesitation. Rei has no intention of accepting feelings from someone who cannot confess properly face to face. After throwing the letter away, she walks off and leaves the boy standing there in confusion. Because of moments like this, many boys begin calling her the cold princess. Rei Nanase always keeps a calm and distant image around others. She gets excellent grades, performs well in sports, and naturally attracts attention because of her beauty. Ever since she joined the school, both boys and girls have become interested in her, and confessions constantly come her way. Yet every single one of them is rejected mercilessly. Over time, the nickname Cold Princess becomes permanently attached to her name. One day, a boy named Minato Ichijo finishes reading his manga, while his friend Kanata wonders if Minato is interested in Rei. Minato admits that he does not even have the courage to get rejected by her. Kanata, however, treats it like an exciting challenge. He says Minato does not understand the appeal of chasing difficult goals. According to Kanata, boys are naturally drawn toward impossible challenges, just like how a mountain becomes more tempting to climb the harder it is. Minato completely fails to understand that way of thinking, and Kanata concludes that Minato simply is not the type of person who enjoys such things. Even so, Kanata has no intention of getting involved with someone he is guaranteed to fail with, especially since he has never even spoken to Rei before. Minato, on the other hand, actually sits next to Rei in class, yet they barely interact. Even though they also work part-time at the same shop, the two almost never speak outside of work-related conversations. During one of his shifts, Minato suddenly notices his boss standing behind him. The boss wonders why someone like Rei, who comes from a rich and respected family, would choose to work at a small shop like theirs. Minato is surprised by the sudden comment. After hearing about Rei's aristocratic background, he assumes she probably wants to learn more about normal, everyday life. The boss then asks if Minato has heard anything personal about her, but Minato replies that they have never talked beyond work matters. The boss insists that Minato could become someone who truly understands Rei, though Minato clearly wants nothing to do with that role. In the middle of their conversation, Minato notices Rei at the cashier counter, dealing with a rude male customer who keeps flirting with her. Rei stays calm and continues working professionally. The boss starts panicking and tells either Minato or Rei to call the police. Rei quickly reassures him, saying she can still handle the situation herself. The customer arrogantly introduces himself as the son of the president of Motokura Corporation. He assumes Rei must need money badly if she works part-time and keeps bothering her with annoying comments. At that moment, Rei's expression turns cold and serious. She firmly tells him to leave if he has nothing else to order because his behavior is disturbing other customers. Her sudden sharp attitude shocks the man, and he eventually leaves. The boss finally relaxes and asks if she is okay. Rei calmly replies that she is already used to people like him. Watching from the side, Minato cannot help but think that the title Cold Princess suits her perfectly. After their shift ends, Minato decides to head home first. While walking away from the shop, he keeps thinking about how impressive Rei was. She stood her ground against a man much bigger than herself. Even so, Minato remembers briefly seeing her hand trembling earlier, though he convinces himself that he probably imagined it. As he walks down the street, he unexpectedly sees Rei again. The same customer from earlier is still bothering her, proving he learned nothing from the incident at the store. Rei firmly tells him that his actions are harassment and makes it clear she wants nothing to do with him. Her disgust becomes obvious as she repeatedly pushes him away. The man becomes irritated and calls her arrogant. Minato watches nervously, wondering if things are about to get worse. He also questions why someone from a wealthy family like Rei's does not have a bodyguard. While Minato hesitates, the man suddenly grabs Rei by the collar and declares that he should have used violence from the start. Minato freezes for a brief moment, torn between stepping in or staying out of what he believes is Rei's personal problem. Part of him thinks that if she truly is the Cold Princess, then she should be able to handle it herself. He tries convincing himself that interfering will only make things worse. But before he can think any further, his body moves on its own. Minato runs toward Rei and throws a kick at the harasser, barely missing him. He quickly positions himself between them and declares that hitting a girl is something no decent person should ever do. With a calm but threatening look, he silently warns the man that the next attack will not miss. The harasser questions Minato's sense of justice, but Minato only responds with a calm smile that almost feels mocking. The expression annoys the man even more, causing him to threaten both Minato and Rei. He swings several punches at Minato, but none of them land. Minato quickly realizes the man is no real threat and decides to teach him a lesson. Confident in his strength, Minato grabs the man's wrist and twists it painfully, forcing him into an awkward position. Unable to win physically, the man switches to threats instead. He boasts about his family's influence and claims he can ruin both Minato and Rei socially because of his powerful background. Rei calmly responds that he clearly does not understand the current situation surrounding his own father. She then introduces herself properly and reminds him that they briefly met at a party before. The man's face instantly turns pale as he finally realizes who she truly is. Rei belongs to a prestigious family that owns major shares in the parent company connected to his own family's corporation. The moment that truth sinks in, all of his arrogance disappears. The man immediately drops to his knees in front of her. Rei Nanase gives the man a faint smile and assures him that she plans to tell her father about the incident in the gentlest way possible. Panicking, the man desperately begs her to keep everything secret. Rei agrees, but firmly orders him to leave. Without saying another word, he quickly runs away from them. After the confrontation ends, Minato Ichijo walks over to Rei and asks if she is okay. However, Rei keeps her distance and questions his intentions, wondering what he hopes to gain by helping her. Minato explains that he only stepped in because he saw someone he knew getting attacked. To him, it was nothing more than that. Since she is standing normally now, he assumes she is fine. Rei continues questioning him, almost as if she expects him to reveal some hidden motive. But Minato repeats that there is nothing else behind his actions. He says his body simply moved on its own when he saw the situation becoming dangerous. He chooses not to mention that he noticed her trembling hand earlier, believing it would sound unnecessary and awkward. Suddenly, Rei lets out a soft laugh, confusing Minato. She quickly tells him it is nothing important and says she will properly thank him another time. Then, while slightly stammering from embarrassment, she forces herself to thank him directly, before hurriedly excusing herself and leaving. Minato stands there frozen, unsure whether he should walk her home or simply let her go. By the time he considers following her, Rei is already far away. Meanwhile, Rei keeps running until she feels she has created enough distance. Eventually, she slows down and stops, replaying everything that happened in her mind. What affects her the most is the fact that Minato never asked for anything in return. The sincerity of his actions unsettles her deeply. She cannot understand why someone would help her so seriously while expecting absolutely nothing back. Still lost in thought, Rei eventually reaches her car. Her driver notices her condition and asks what happened. Rei brushes off his concern, claiming she merely tripped over a small stone and insisting there is nothing to worry about. After calming herself down, she prepares to ask him something that has been bothering her. The next day at work, Minato keeps wondering why he acted so recklessly the night before. The thought continues circling in his head without giving him any clear answer. His boss suddenly appears and tells him to smile more, but Minato remains distracted. He has always followed the principle of never getting involved in other people's problems. Yet this time, he broke that rule without hesitation. As the day continues, Minato feels increasingly unsettled, especially because Rei starts acting in ways he has never seen before. No matter where he goes, she somehow appears within his sight. Whenever their eyes meet, she deliberately blinks at him, creating an unfamiliar tension that completely throws him off balance. During lunch at the school cafeteria, Rei unexpectedly sits beside him and smiles gently, showing an expression Minato has never seen from her before. The same strange behavior continues day after day. Every time they cross paths, she gives him some kind of subtle signal. After several days, rumors about Minato begin spreading throughout the school. His once peaceful and quiet school life slowly turns chaotic, leaving him mentally exhausted. When classes end, Minato heads to his part-time job, hoping to clear his mind. After working for a while, he tells his boss that he is heading home, causing the boss to worry about how drained he looked. For now, Minato decides he will stop thinking about Rei altogether. He even feels relieved because she is not supposed to be working the same shift today. However, while changing clothes in the staff room, he suddenly notices Rei sitting nearby and reading a book. The sight catches him completely off guard. Rei calmly reminds him that changing clothes in front of a girl is inappropriate. Embarrassed, Minato immediately apologizes, realizing he acted without thinking. He then asks why she is even there on her day off. Rei tells him she came because she has something important to discuss with him. Minato instantly panics, wondering if he somehow upset her. Before he can gather his thoughts, Ray suddenly rushes toward him and tightly hugs him. She sounds genuinely relieved, as if finally being alone with him is something she has been waiting for. Completely confused, Minato asks what she is doing. Still holding on to him, Ray casually replies that she is hugging him. Minato desperately wants an explanation, but Ray continues by saying that she surprisingly likes his scent and finds it comforting. Minato becomes even more overwhelmed because she is standing far too close to him. He cannot understand how this situation escalated so suddenly. More than anything, he struggles to believe that this affectionate girl is the same cold and distant princess everyone fears at school. Nervously, he glances toward the door, terrified that someone might walk in and see them together like this. He asks Ray to let go, but she refuses. Growing desperate, Minato asks what he needs to do to make her release him. Ray calmly gives him a condition. She wants him to kiss her. The request shocks him completely. Ray then gently turns his body so they are facing each other properly, allowing their eyes to meet directly. In that moment, Minato realizes that when someone truly wants to express something sincerely, eye contact becomes important. Ray repeats her condition. If he kisses her, she will let him go. Minato panics even more as he compares this bold and clingy Ray with the elegant and untouchable cold princess she acts like at school. The difference is overwhelming. Without warning, Minato's once peaceful and predictable life becomes completely entangled with the chaos brought by the cold princess. It marks the beginning of a daily life filled with confusion, tension, and unexpected intimacy. Now, Minato finds himself pressured into kissing Ray without even understanding why she's so insistent. The image he always had of her completely falls apart. The elegant, aristocratic girl admired by every boy in school no longer resembles the person standing in front of him. When Minato hesitates and fails to kiss her, Ray looks genuinely confused. He quickly explains that they are not dating and that he cannot suddenly kiss a classmate without warning. Running out of ideas, Ray gives him another condition instead. She asks him to carry her. Minato internally complains that she is acting like a spoiled child. At the same time, he grows even more confused because she refuses to let him go unless he fulfills one of her requests. His body slowly begins getting tired, and he realizes he cannot remain trapped in her arms forever. Finally, Minato asks if she would let go if he hugged her instead. Ray quietly agrees. Feeling extremely embarrassed, Minato gently wraps his arms around her. In response, Ray happily hugs him even tighter. For a brief moment, Minato wonders why he does not feel annoyed with her despite all the trouble she causes him. Meanwhile, Ray silently enjoys the happiness of holding him close. Their moment is suddenly interrupted when the boss knocks on the staff room door and asks if Minato can go home alone. Minato immediately panics at the thought of the boss walking in and seeing them together like this. He is certain it would create complete chaos. Trying to stay calm, he answers that he is fine while quietly whispering for Ray to let go of him for a moment. But Ray refuses. At that point, Minato starts wondering where the cold princess personality disappeared to, since the girl clinging to him now feels completely different from the distant and elegant Ray everyone knows at school. Seeing no other option, Minato tells her they cannot stay there forever and decides to take her to his apartment instead. He explains that he lives alone and warns her that his place is nothing special. Ray softly smiles at his words, causing Minato to ask what is so funny, but she avoids the question and simply urges him to leave with her quickly. When they arrive at his apartment, Minato offers her some coffee. Ray asks for sugar and milk, and while he prepares it, she quietly walks around the room, curiously looking at everything. When Minato returns and notices her examining the apartment, Ray freezes slightly, almost like she has been caught doing something embarrassing. After a moment, she comments that his apartment is surprisingly clean for a boy living alone. Minato then asks the question that has been bothering him the most. Why did she suddenly hug him back at the store? Ray answers honestly, because she likes him. Minato cannot understand how someone like Ray Nanase could possibly develop feelings for someone like him. Ray explains that when he protected her the night before, she thought he looked incredibly cool. Minato insists that he only acted on instinct, but Ray's feelings remain unchanged. Then, without hesitation, she asks him if he wants to date her. The sudden question completely shocks Minato. He cannot understand why she would casually bring up something so serious. He reminds her that a young lady from the Nanase family cannot simply date whoever she wants. Ray calmly admits that this is true. She explains that someday she may end up engaged to someone chosen by her parents. Then she points out that Minato might face the same fate because he is the next heir of the Ichijo family. Minato becomes startled, realizing she already knows the truth about it. Ray explains that the Ichijo family has supported the country for generations, both publicly and secretly, making them one of the most respected noble families in the nation. She also understands why Minato hides his identity so carefully. Minato simply replies that he hates troublesome things, no matter how important they are. Because he was born into the Ichijo family, Minato believes love was never meant to be part of his life. From a young age, he accepted that his role was already decided for him. His duty is to continue the family line, and personal feelings would always come second to responsibility. Romance feels distant and unnecessary to him. He assumes that one day he will simply marry whoever his parents choose, just like tradition demands. Rei quietly listens to him and reflects on how strict the Ichijo family must be regarding arranged marriages. In her own family, the responsibility of carrying on the family name belongs to her older sibling instead. Because of that, she has slightly more freedom, even if expectations still surround her life. Minato then mentions that he also has a younger sister. However, unlike what people would expect from the child of a noble household, she has absolutely no interest in family matters. In fact, she resembles Minato quite a lot, especially in her dislike of troublesome situations. Hearing this makes Rei curious about Minato's sister. She imagines that the girl probably has a personality similar to his, and the thought quietly amuses her. Minato explains that his sister is still in middle school, so she has not yet appeared publicly in noble society. Eventually, however, she will have to step into that world. Unlike her, Minato himself has always been kept hidden because of the sensitive position of the Ichijo family. Rei then wonders if Minato's sister looks like him, and whether she also likes sweet foods. At that moment, Minato realizes Rei may already be trying to win him over by getting close to the people around him. Even so, he notices something strange happening inside himself. The longer he talks with Rei, the calmer he feels. Speaking with someone who understands the same burdens makes it easier for him to breathe. He realizes he has never opened up this honestly to anyone before, especially someone living under similar expectations. Meanwhile, Rei begins thinking that moments like this may not be so bad after all. Spending time with Minato gives her a quiet warmth she rarely experiences within the strict world of noble families. After spending some time together at Minato's apartment, Rei eventually thanks him for his hospitality and prepares to leave. Minato offers to walk her home, but she politely refuses, explaining that her driver is already coming to pick her up. She quietly admits that today was genuinely enjoyable for her, a rare kind of day that made her heart feel lighter. Minato feels the same way. The atmosphere between them has become softer and more comfortable than before. Rei's cheeks become slightly red from happiness, making it impossible for her to completely hide her emotions. Just before leaving, she calls out to Minato once more. Minato turns around and asks what she needs. Rei tells him that she is looking forward to seeing him at school tomorrow. Hearing that fills Minato with a warm feeling. He hopes she will show him the same honest smile at school because he thinks it would look adorable on someone normally known for her perfect noble image. More than that, he hopes they can talk casually again like they did today, not as aristocrats carrying expectations, but simply as two people who understand each other. The next day at school, Minato listens to Kanata excitedly talking about a girl he greeted earlier that morning. Minato casually calls him a playboy. Before their conversation can continue, Rei suddenly appears and calls Minato's name, instantly drawing the attention of the entire class. With a calm and elegant expression, she approaches him and politely asks if she can speak with him for a moment. Kanata, who witnesses everything from nearby, becomes completely shocked that Rei Nanase personally came to talk to Minato. He begins wondering what kind of unbelievable thing Minato could have possibly done to catch the attention of the famous cold princess. Then Rei slowly turns her sharp gaze toward Kanata. The pressure from her stare instantly intimidates him into silence. Minato also senses that Rei's presence feels much colder and more intense than it did yesterday, making the gentle girl from his apartment feel almost like an illusion. Rei then calmly says that if Minato is busy, she can always return later. Minato quickly assures her that he is not busy at all. Kanata leans toward Minato and whispers in disbelief, asking what exactly he did to make Rei Nanase pay so much attention to him. Minato turns toward Rei and asks what she wants to talk about. Rei calmly announces that her fiancé has already been chosen. The entire class reacts in shock. Meanwhile, Minato tries to stay calm on the outside, though internally he does not know how to respond. He wonders whether he should congratulate her or feel sorry for her instead. To Minato, a marriage arranged only for family obligations contains no real love. Since both he and Rei come from noble families, he believes they share the same unavoidable fate. Even so, he still feels sympathy for her because everything seems to be happening so suddenly. He quietly asks who her fiancé is. Rei explains that the formal introduction will happen later. Minato nods and tells her sincerely that it cannot be easy for her. He encourages her to do her best. Rei calmly replies that she intends to do exactly that before turning away and leaving. However, their classmates completely misunderstand the situation. Many of them assume that Minato has just been publicly rejected by Rei in dramatic fashion. Kanata even offers his shoulder, telling Minato he can cry on him if necessary. Annoyed by the misunderstanding, Minato tells everyone to stop acting like he just got rejected. Later that night, Minato sits alone at home, feeling mentally exhausted. He believes Rei has already prepared herself to accept her duty for the sake of her family. At the same time, he knows that someday he will probably end up engaged to a stranger as well. Even though Rei spoke confidently earlier, Minato believes she must still be struggling deep down. While lost in thought, he suddenly receives a phone call from his father. His father informs him that his own engagement has also been arranged. The sudden announcement irritates Minato. Everything feels like it is happening far too quickly. The next day, Minato waits at a meeting place while feeling confused and frustrated. The topic of engagement had only appeared yesterday, yet now everything is already moving forward. During their earlier call, his father explained that Minato's fiancée had already been chosen and that he would meet her today. At this point, Minato jokingly starts thinking that it must somehow be engagement season since arranged marriages keep appearing one after another. While waiting, he notices there are only 2 minutes left before the promised meeting time. Suddenly, a helicopter appears overhead. Minato watches in disbelief as it lands nearby, and his father steps out from inside. His father apologizes for making him wait before casually jumping down from the helicopter with practiced ease. After landing, he remarks that the Hakama Minato is wearing suits him well. Minato's father, Ichigo Shinya, then tells him that he will definitely like his fiancée because she is beautiful and comes from an outstanding family. He reminds Minato to behave properly and not embarrass the Ichigo family. Minato promises that he will act appropriately. Even so, he quietly strengthens his resolve inside himself. He believes he needs to face his future properly, especially if he wants to stand proudly beside someone like Rei. Shinya leads Minato through a hallway toward a private room. As Minato walks forward, he mentally prepares himself for whatever awaits him inside. However, the moment he enters the room, he freezes in shock. His fiancée calmly steps forward and introduces herself. Minato instantly recognizes her. The person chosen to become his arranged partner is none other than Rei Nanase, the second daughter of the Nanase family. Rei formally greets him and politely says she hopes they will get along well from now on. Then, to make things even worse for Minato's heart, she affectionately calls him dear, leaving him completely stunned. During the formal family meeting, Rei carries herself with the perfect elegance expected from someone raised in a prestigious noble family. Once the introductions finish, Shinya and Rei's parents decide to leave the two alone so they can speak privately. The atmosphere immediately changes after the adults leave the room. Suddenly, Minato and Rei are sitting across from each other in a situation that feels far more personal than before. Minato immediately begins questioning what exactly is happening. Rei calmly looks at him and asks if he is surprised. When Minato first heard that Rei was getting engaged, he genuinely pitied her because he believed she was being forced into a future she did not choose. Never once did he imagine that he himself would be the chosen partner. Now, with both families fully supporting the arrangement, Minato realizes the engagement is practically impossible to cancel. Rei then comments on how differently Minato behaves around his father. She says that the same boy who bravely protected her suddenly acts like a tame and obedient cat in front of Shinya. Compared to Rei, who always remains calm and composed, Minato seems strangely powerless against authority. Rei explains that she has been trained since childhood to behave in ways that make her appear elegant, likable, and socially flawless at all times. Then she suddenly asks him a direct question. Has he fallen in love with her? Minato honestly admits that he still cannot see her romantically yet. Rei quietly prepares tea before placing a cup in front of him. As they drink together, Rei asks what he thinks about her kimono. Minato replies that she looks good in it. However, Rei becomes slightly dissatisfied because his reaction feels too plain. Realizing this, Minato awkwardly adds that her hairstyle also matches the outfit nicely. He then asks if she dyed part of her hair to create the colored accent. Rei explains that it is only a hair extension, before asking whether he likes the style. Minato casually answers that he prefers black hair instead, and reminds her that bright colors like that would break the school rules. Rei smiles warmly and teases him by saying that he must really like her natural black hair. Minato quickly tries clarifying that this is not what he meant, but Rei simply laughs it off. She tells him it is fine if he does not have feelings for her yet. What matters, according to Rei, is that from now on they will always be together. Then she openly declares her intention to make Minato fall in love with every part of her. Minato becomes completely speechless after hearing her confidently say they will always stay together from now on. As if that were not enough, Ray cheerfully reveals that Shinya has already arranged for both of them to live in the same apartment building. This time, Minato is genuinely shocked. His father never mentioned anything about that plan. The future that once felt distant suddenly becomes very real, and Minato realizes that his entire life is beginning to move far faster than he can keep up with. The next day arrives, and Ray officially begins moving into Minato's apartment. By midday, the two of them finish unpacking and organizing all of Ray's belongings. After everything is neatly arranged, Ray thanks Minato for helping her. Minato replies that sharing responsibilities is only natural now that they are going to live close to each other. Even so, he still cannot believe how quickly everything is happening. What was only discussed yesterday has already become reality today. Ray looks around the room with interest and comments that Minato actually has pretty good taste in furniture. Embarrassed, Minato tells her she is free to arrange the room however she likes, before trying to excuse himself so he can return to his own apartment. Before he can leave, Ray stops him and invites him to sit down and rest for a while. Minato refuses at first, but Ray simply assumes he is being shy. Eventually, he gives up and sits beside her while trying to calm the tension in his chest. Ray tells him that if he stays this nervous all the time, he will exhaust himself sooner or later. Then, she casually lies down on the bed. Minato internally complains because Ray herself is the main reason he feels so tense in the first place. Ray encourages him to relax too, saying the mattress is soft enough to help him unwind. The moment Minato sees the expression on her face, he immediately refuses. Ray tilts her head and asks why he is rejecting something so simple, especially since she assumes they will eventually sleep in the same room someday anyway. At that moment, Minato realizes Ray might genuinely see him as harmless and incapable of making bold moves. Feeling cornered, he decides he needs to act more assertive so she will stop teasing him so freely. Without warning, Minato climbs onto the bed, startling Ray. She looks at him in surprise, unsure what he is trying to do. Minato tells her that if she keeps provoking him like this, she should not blame him if he eventually reacts someday. He hopes acting bold for once will make her stop teasing him so relentlessly. However, Ray's answer completely catches him off guard. Without hesitation, she calmly says that she is already prepared for whatever might happen and does not mind at all. Minato instantly freezes. His confident act completely collapses, and he quickly backs away while awkwardly apologizing. He insists he was only joking and blames the tension for making him sweat too much. Flustered, he excuses himself to take a shower and tells Ray to rest while he cleans up. Ray smirks and teasingly calls him a cowardly husband, making Minato even more embarrassed. Even after that, Ray continues teasing him with the same bold playfulness. While Minato is in the bathroom trying to calm himself down, he reflects on how close he came to losing control earlier. He decides he needs the warm water to clear his head. Just when he finally thinks he has a moment to relax, Ray suddenly calls out to him again. Minato quickly answers that he is changing clothes, but Ray opens the bathroom door anyway and casually steps inside. She cheerfully offers to scrub his back for him. Minato immediately refuses and insists he can handle everything himself. Later during dinner, Ray deliberately sits right beside him, causing Minato to quietly wonder why she specifically chose that seat. Then Ray suddenly tries to feed him herself, leaning closer with far more intimacy than Minato can comfortably handle. Embarrassed, he declines and says he is perfectly capable of eating on his own. Even after they finish all the chores for the day, Ray still does not stop teasing him. She even offers to massage his shoulders, which Minato hurriedly refuses once again. Only after Ray finally heads into the bathroom does Minato feel a wave of relief. He cannot help thinking that it is only the first day, yet Ray is already this energetic and overwhelming. Later, Minato decides to head to the supermarket, but since it is already closed, he walks farther to a convenience store instead to buy milk and bread. While shopping, he reflects on how he originally planned to handle Ray's teasing earlier. Somehow, however, it feels like he is the one constantly being overwhelmed by her bold personality. To Minato, Ray feels like a storm crashing into his peaceful routine and turning his quiet life upside down. As he walks home, he wonders what kind of surprise she might have waiting for him next. When he finally arrives back at the apartment, Minato becomes confused because Ray is nowhere to be seen. He even notices himself tiptoeing through his own home, almost as if he is the one intruding. Since everything is quiet, he assumes Ray has already gone to sleep. Feeling exhausted after the long day, Minato decides it would be best for him to rest too. However, the moment he enters his bedroom and turns on the light, he freezes in shock. Ray is sleeping in his room. Ray slowly wakes up and explains that she accidentally fell asleep there after mistaking the room for her own. Only then does Minato notice that she is wearing one of his shirts. Ray casually comments that the shirt fits her surprisingly well. She then admits that she likes his scent, which is why she ended up wearing it without thinking much about it. Minato becomes completely confused and unsure how to react. He quickly asks her to stop wearing his clothes and politely requests that she stop burying her face in them as well. Rei refuses, saying she likes his shirt too much. Minato hurriedly explains that this is not what he meant and tells her she should return to her own room because they still have school tomorrow. However, Rei suddenly says something that catches him completely off guard. She wants them to sleep together tonight. Only then does Minato realize she is being serious. Rei explains that since it is their first night living together, she wants it to feel memorable. Still nervous and worried about misunderstandings, Minato carefully asks if they are really only going to sleep. Rei reassures him that, of course, that is all she means, though she continues teasing him by repeatedly emphasizing that they will be sleeping together. Minato is left completely flustered, unable to keep up with how boldly Rei keeps teasing him. At the same time, he cannot stop wondering just how serious she truly is about all. Minato reminds himself that both he and Rei are still high school students, so casually sleeping together feels unbelievable. At the same time, he realizes that if he rejects Rei's request and creates problems that damage their engagement, the reputation of the Ichijo family could suffer badly. He does not want to become gossip material for the rest of his life, and more importantly, he does not want to treat Rei carelessly, especially when she has been so sincere with him. After thinking everything through, Minato finally agrees to sleep beside her, though he firmly decides it will only be for one night. Rei reacts with obvious happiness and confidently says she already knew he would agree. Without hesitation, she tells him to hurry under the blanket so they do not waste any more time. Soon the two of them lie side by side in bed. After a while, Rei quietly asks if Minato has already fallen asleep. Minato answers that he is still fully awake. Rei admits that her heart is beating so fast that she cannot sleep at all. She then wonders aloud if Minato is nervous because of her. Minato says he honestly does not know, even though deep down he is painfully aware of how tense he feels. Rei then says she strangely feels irritated for some reason. Minato cannot deny his nervousness. In his mind, anyone placed in this situation would feel the same way. Then, without warning, Rei asks if he truly does not plan to do anything at all. She even wonders if she has failed at being a good wife. Her words leave Minato speechless. At that moment, he realizes that Rei has genuinely been trying her best in her own awkward way to act like a proper partner for him, despite lacking experience herself. Minato, meanwhile, has never dealt with a situation like this before, making him feel even more unsure of himself. After thinking carefully, he gently explains that moments like this should ideally happen with someone Rei truly loves someday. However, he quickly adds that this does not mean he dislikes her. What he means is that they should slowly move forward step by step instead of rushing something so important. As they continue talking, Minato eventually notices that Rei has already fallen asleep beside him. He quietly thinks it makes sense. Rei spent the entire day full of energy while moving, unpacking, and trying hard to fulfill her role properly for the sake of both families. While sleeping, Rei softly murmurs that she will continue trying her best. Minato gently pulls the blanket over her before lying down beside her and quietly whispering goodnight. For him, the night becomes something unforgettable, a special memory that will remain in his heart for a long time. About an hour later, Rei unconsciously wraps her arms around Minato in her sleep and clings tightly to him, making it almost impossible for him to fall asleep himself. Early the next morning, Minato and Rei end up having a tense argument. Minato refuses to walk to school together, while Rei cannot understand why he suddenly resists the idea so strongly. Minato explains that he hates becoming the center of attention. Even when Rei gives him a pleading look in hopes of changing his mind, he stubbornly refuses. Rei believes that since they are already engaged, spending time together should be natural. However, Minato still sees them as ordinary students living under normal school rules. Rei then casually brings up the fact that they spent the night together. Immediately panicking, Minato begs her to stop saying things that could easily cause misunderstandings. Trying to end the argument, Minato tells her to hurry and get ready for school. He reminds her that breakfast is already prepared and urges her to change clothes quickly so they can continue their morning normally. Still, Rei insists that she is not finished talking yet. During breakfast, Rei once again says she wants them to go to school together. Minato tries calming her by encouraging her to eat before the food gets cold. Rei notices that he prepared a French-style breakfast, which briefly distracts her from the argument. Internally, Minato feels relieved that the topic has changed. Then Rei suddenly offers another idea. If going together alone feels awkward, they could invite a friend along with them. Minato immediately thinks the idea sounds impossible. Rei, however, believes that once he gets used to it, spending time together publicly will eventually feel natural. Minato explains that his friends all have their own schedules, but Rei once again suggests that they should simply go together by themselves. Unable to understand her persistence, Minato asks why she cares so much. Rei calmly replies that a wife does not need a special reason for wanting to spend time with her husband. Hearing those words causes Minato to slowly soften. Eventually, he gives in. Just as Rei prepares to happily settle the matter, Minato suggests a compromise instead. Rather than going to school together in the morning, they could return home together after classes and stop by the supermarket to buy ingredients for dinner. To Minato, this feels like the perfect middle ground. It respects Rei's wish to spend time together while also helping him avoid unnecessary attention at school. Rei immediately likes the idea because shopping for dinner together feels exactly like something a married couple would naturally do. She also happily announces that she plans to cook dinner herself that evening and promises to put her full effort into it. Minato quietly feels that he might survive the day without attracting too much attention after, though he cannot help wondering if situations like this will become a daily occurrence from now on. After breakfast, Minato prepares to leave first. Before going, he quietly says goodbye to Rei, and Rei reminds him to stay safe on the way to school. Minato gives her the same reminder before heading out. When he arrives at school, he notices that the classroom feels unusually empty. Many students are absent, and Minato assumes it is probably because of flu season. Then Kanata suddenly arrives and explains the real reason. Rumors about the engagement of the famous cold princess have spread throughout the school and become a huge topic overnight. According to Kanata, many of Rei's admirers were so shocked by the news that they literally became sick and stayed home. Minato is stunned to learn that the absences are connected to Rei's engagement room. He even starts wondering how many admirers she actually has. Kanata continues talking and says he understands how Minato must feel. Then he points out that an engagement does not necessarily mean real love, meaning there is still a chance for someone else to win Rei's heart. Kanata even boldly declares that he plans to confess his feelings to Rei himself. Minato instinctively stops Kanata, only to realize a second later that he reacted without thinking. Trying to recover, he quickly reminds Kanata that he is already dating Yui. Minato adds that Yui is known around school as an angel-like girl, and that she is beautiful as well. Kanata misunderstands the comment, and assumes Minato is saying that girls like Yui are his ideal type. Then Kanata admits that he is honestly starting to get tired of spending every day with Yui. According to him, Rei possesses a different kind of beauty. Her calm eyes and elegant attitude never break, no matter how hard people try to charm her. Even so, Kanata says he still cannot forgive Rei's fiancée. Hearing that immediately shocks Minato. Kanata openly confesses that he feels jealous of the person chosen to be engaged to Rei. Deep down, he wishes he could experience Rei's gentle and affectionate gaze for himself one more time. Suddenly, several students gather around them and loudly declare that they absolutely cannot forgive Rei's fiancé either. Kanata looks confused and asks what they are talking about. The students proudly introduce themselves as members of the Rei Nanase fan club, a group dedicated to protecting Rei's happiness above all else. Minato nervously tries to calm the situation by explaining that, according to rumors, Rei's engagement happened because of family circumstances rather than personal choice. Kanata agrees with the group's feelings, saying that an engagement without love is difficult to accept. The fan club members insist that they refuse to forgive anyone who could make Rei unhappy. To Minato, their devotion already feels far too intense. Kanata then boldly claims that every boy at school still deserves a chance with Rei, which only makes the group even more fired up. The students loudly declare that if they ever discover the identity of Rei's fiancé, they will personally interrogate him. Hearing this makes Minato panic internally. Desperately, he begs them to forgive the fiancé they have never even met. The way everyone becomes strangely united whenever Rei is involved honestly terrifies him. One of the students then asks Minato to help them question the fiancé once they find him. They believe Minato is the perfect person for the job because they mistakenly think Rei publicly rejected him before. Kanata even supports the idea, claiming that pressure from Minato would definitely force the fiancé to answer honestly. Minato becomes even more distressed after realizing he accidentally made himself suspicious through his reactions. Soon the entire group reaches a unanimous decision. They are absolutely going to interrogate Rei's fiancé, and they insist that Minato join them. Just as the situation becomes completely chaotic, Rei suddenly enters the classroom and greets everyone. The moment she appears, the fan club members immediately scatter and disappear, leaving only Minato sitting awkwardly at his desk. Ray calmly sits down beside him and casually comments that he seems surprisingly close with his classmates. As she says this, she gives him a sharp and knowing glance that completely freezes him in place. Later during physical education class, the students begin warming up for tennis practice. The teacher announces that everyone must form pairs because they will be playing doubles tennis. Both Minato and Ray quietly wonder who their partners will end up being. A moment later, Minato realizes he spent too much time thinking about Ray and completely forgot to find a partner himself. For someone like him, situations like this are troublesome. Since he avoids social interaction whenever possible, his lack of close friends becomes painfully obvious during activities like these. Minato silently accepts that this is simply the price of living such an antisocial lifestyle. He assumes he will eventually end up paired with another leftover student. Suddenly, Ray lightly taps his shoulder and asks him to pair up with her. Minato becomes startled. He wants to refuse immediately, but he also fears the members of Ray's fan club might attack him later if he rejects her publicly. With no better option, he reluctantly agrees as long as Ray truly does not mind. As soon as they begin standing together, students all around them start whispering excitedly. Many cannot believe Minato ended up paired with Ray Nanase. Some even begin calling Minato cool, which completely confuses him because he feels like absolutely nothing about him has changed. The teacher then tells all the pairs to begin rally practice. Ray volunteers to serve first while Minato quietly worries because his tennis skills are only average. Ray starts hitting the ball back and forth with smooth and steady rhythm. While playing, she quietly imagines how enjoyable it feels to play tennis together with Minato, causing her to let out a small laugh. Minato notices her smiling and immediately becomes suspicious, wondering if she is planning something again. Soon Ray sends a clean and beautiful shot across the court. Minato cannot help admiring how seriously she approaches everything she does. However, he quickly pushes those thoughts aside and focuses on returning the ball properly. When he finally manages a decent return, he realizes Ray has handled every shot perfectly so far. While Ray genuinely enjoys the rally, Minato feels far too nervous to enjoy himself. The other students soon begin commenting that their rally looks more like a real singles match than simple warm-up practice. Then Ray sends another shot flying across the court. Minato instantly realizes he probably cannot reach it, but he still runs after the ball anyway. Suddenly, another student steps in and smoothly returns the shot before Minato can reach it. Minato immediately recognizes the student as Miku Tada, the ace of the tennis club. Impressed by Ray's ability, Miku directly challenges her to a match. The moment he does, Minato notices irritation quietly appearing on Ray's face. The surrounding students immediately become excited and start whispering among themselves. The famous cold princess is being challenged by the tennis club ace. As the tension rises, everyone watches closely. Even though Ray maintains her usual calm expression, her presence somehow feels colder and more intimidating than usual. Then, surprisingly, Ray gives a small smile and calmly says that she refuses the challenge. The crowd immediately erupts with excitement. To the students, this composed rejection perfectly matches Ray's reputation as the untouchable cold princess. Many openly admire her confidence and attitude. One of the girls nearby warns Miku that challenging someone like Ray could become troublesome. However, Miku confidently replies that he still wants to play against her anyway. Seeing the situation getting more heated, Minato quietly tries to calm things down before they escalate further. At that moment, Ray's body trembles slightly. After a brief pause, she calmly announces that she will accept the match after all. She adds that since Miku insists so strongly, they will settle things with a doubles match. Minato immediately realizes nobody ever asked whether he agreed to participate. The crowd becomes even louder with excitement as the long-awaited match between the Cold Princess and the tennis club ace officially begins. Meanwhile, Minato can only wonder how he somehow got dragged into this situation again. Miku assumes Ray probably is not taking the match too seriously since their opponents are members of the tennis club. He casually warns her to be careful not to get injured. Meanwhile, Minato notices that Ray looks far more irritated than normal, though he still does not understand the reason. Inside herself, however, Ray has already made up her mind. No matter what happens, she is determined to win this match. Ray tosses the ball into the air and delivers a sharp, controlled serve. Ray's serve flies across the court with incredible speed, passing straight by the girl on Miku's team. The girl can barely follow the ball with her eyes and looks completely overwhelmed by its speed. Miku immediately realizes that Ray's shot carries power comparable to a professional player's serve. He never expected someone with such a small frame to hit with that much force. At that moment, he understands that Ray has been holding back the entire time. The students watching the match instantly erupt with loud cheers for the famous Cold Princess, especially after Ray wins the first game against the tennis club members without allowing them to touch the ball even once. Rei remains fully focused and quietly decides that she will end the match as quickly as possible. Minato praises her play, honestly admitting that he never expected her to take points so easily from members of the tennis club. Rei responds by pointing out that earlier he seemed perfectly comfortable talking with the other students, yet now he is standing by her side instead. Only then does Minato finally realize why Rei has been more irritated than usual today. After that, the tennis club members begin showing their true abilities. The match quickly grows more intense as both sides exchange shots back and forth in a fast and balanced rhythm. Eventually, the score reaches 6-5. Only one more point is needed for Rei and Minato to win. Rei suddenly calls out to Minato, warning him that the ball is heading his way. Minato feels uneasy as the ball flies directly toward him. Meanwhile, Miku moves aggressively, determined to equalize the score. The spectators grow louder as the tension on the court rises. Miku leaps high into the air and smashes the ball downward with tremendous force. However, Rei immediately intercepts it and blocks the shot perfectly, keeping control of the rally. Miku is shocked. After seeing his trick only once, Rei already figured out how to counter it. At the same time, Miku encourages his teammate not to give up yet. The girl quickly responds with a drop shot, sending the ball softly over the net in a way that should make it impossible to reach in time. Minato instantly rushes toward the ball. He realizes that Rei already covered for his previous mistake earlier, which prevents her from moving forward this time. Truthfully, Minato hates attracting attention to himself, but he accepts that this situation is an exception. At the last second, he reaches the ball, carefully calculates its angle, and sends it flying back across the court. The match ends with Rei and Minato securing victory. The crowd immediately bursts into cheers for the pair who successfully defeated members of the tennis club. Rei thanks Minato for helping her. Minato casually replies that his legs simply moved on reflex. Miku then praises Rei, admitting that she played impressively. Even though his team lost, he says the match was genuinely enjoyable and promises they will win next time. Rei calmly accepts the compliment and praises Miku's skills in return. At some point, Minato notices that Rei's mood has noticeably improved. She looks more relaxed now, even slightly pleased, making things much easier for him to handle. Minato hands her a bottle of water. However, the gentle and affectionate expression Rei directs at him feels almost too sweet, instantly making him nervous again. At that moment, Minato realizes her mood may not actually be fully settled yet. He comments that he honestly never expected her to defeat members of the tennis club so thoroughly. Rei calmly replies that she was simply driving away strange people who approached her husband. According to her, that is naturally the duty of a wife. Minato quickly points out that their relationship is still only an arranged engagement forced upon them. Rei answers that even if it is not fully official yet, she still wants him to remember that he is her partner. Completely confused, Minato asks what exactly she means by that. Instead of explaining, Rei casually hands him the water bottle she has already been drinking from and says he must be thirsty too. Minato immediately realizes what she is implying. Since the bottle already touched her lips, drinking from it would technically become an indirect kiss. Flustered, he quickly changes the subject and suggests they stop by a restaurant after school sometime to celebrate their victory. Rei instantly becomes embarrassed, yet visibly happy at the idea of eating out together with him for the first time. However, she remembers they already planned to go shopping later. Minato then casually suggests they can always go out together another day instead. Rei freezes for a moment. To her, his words sound exactly like an invitation to a date. Her heart begins racing, and she happily admits that she is already looking forward to it. Meanwhile, Minato quietly feels relieved, believing he successfully escaped the indirect kiss situation. Trying to act normal, he asks if she still wants the water bottle back. Rei happily accepts it, and Minato finally returns it to her. Nearby, Miku tells his teammate that they should head back to class. However, the girl remains completely focused on Minato and Rei instead. Even while Miku repeatedly calls her name, her eyes stay locked on the pair standing together. After school, Minato and Rei return home carrying shopping bags filled with groceries. Rei quickly realizes that shopping for two people is much heavier than she expected. She also comments that the luxury mall they visited earlier had a very unique atmosphere. Meanwhile, Minato remembers how shocked he felt when Rei confidently walked into such an expensive mall while they were still wearing school uniform. Back at the apartment, Minato says he plans to change clothes and start preparing dinner. However, Rei stops him and proudly announces that she will cook tonight while he rests instead. Minato accepts her offer and heads to his room to work on his assignment. Rei happily tells him to leave everything to her. Remembering that they had physical education earlier, she assumes Minato must be hungry, so she decides to prepare something quick. While sitting on the sofa, Minato waits curiously and wonders what kind of food Rei will make. After some time, dinner is finally ready. Ray explains that tonight's menu is shogayaki because it is simple to cook and does not take long. Minato immediately wants to start eating, but Ray suddenly asks him to wait a moment. Confused, he asks what is wrong. Ray proudly explains that she likes to add a special little mantra made with care before meals. Minato wonders if something like that is really necessary, but eventually asks permission to start eating anyway. He picks up the food with his chopsticks and takes his first bite. The moment he tastes it, he is genuinely surprised by how delicious it is. The ginger flavor feels balanced and comforting. The meat is soft and tender, and everything pairs perfectly with the rice and cabbage. Minato apologizes if he seems rude, but he honestly cannot stop eating. Watching him enjoy the food so enthusiastically makes Ray quietly laugh in satisfaction. After finishing the meal, Minato thanks her sincerely and admits that he ended up eating everything in one sitting. He finishes by drinking the miso soup, almost out of habit. Seeing how much he enjoyed the food makes Ray feel relieved and happy. When she begins cleaning the dishes, Minato offers to help. However, Ray insists on handling everything herself today and tells him to relax instead. As she works in the kitchen, Minato quietly thinks to himself that this might be what life as newlyweds feels like. While washing dishes, Ray casually asks for his opinion. She mentions hearing that men like girls who wear aprons over their school uniforms. Then, without hesitation, she teasingly adds that if she really wanted to show more affection, she could even wear only an apron. Minato immediately panics and blurts out that such a thing is impossible. Even though he tries to deny it strongly, his reaction only makes it seem like he actually imagined it for a second. Trying to escape the topic, Minato suddenly announces that he will take a bath first. Ray lightly grabs his sleeve and asks if he wants to bathe together. Minato immediately asks if that is not moving way too fast. Ray calmly agrees that it probably is. Later, Minato returns to the sofa and begins reading a book. Ray walks over with a drink for him before quietly sitting nearby, clearly planning to stay with him for a while. The atmosphere grows calm and slightly awkward. After hesitating for a moment, Minato finally compliments the dinner and says it was genuinely delicious. Then he asks if there is anything Ray wants in return. Ray casually replies that maybe they could bathe together another time instead. Minato immediately refuses again. Ray quietly changes her request and gently rests her head against him instead. Then she softly asks him to pat her head. Minato agrees. As he gently strokes her hair, he tells her she did a great job today. Ray smiles happily and says she wants to stay like this a little longer. Minato quietly agrees and continues patting her head until she slowly begins drifting towards sleep. Even then, Ray stubbornly insists she is not sleepy at all. As her thoughts wander, she remembers what Minato said earlier during physical education class about going out together another day. To Ray, that clearly sounds like a date invitation. Minato thinks back as well, trying to remember exactly what he said. Then Ray softly admits that she cannot wait for that day before quietly wishing him goodnight. Minato awkwardly responds goodnight too, though he cannot hide the sigh escaping from him after realizing he accidentally said something so misleading again. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps more than you think. And if you'd like to support me further, consider joining my Patreon. I'm not making much from the channel at the moment, so every bit of support truly means a lot. You'll get ad-free videos and shoutouts as a thank you for helping me keep this going.
Please subscribe. I need this. My mom is kind of homeless.